Hello, g'day, kia ora. I'm Philip Duncan. Thanks for joining us for our 7-day Australia-only forecast. We do have a bit of a change coming to the southern parts of Aussie. We've got this high pressure zone finally clearing off towards New Zealand, and that allows low pressure zones to start to move in. Now, I've got to be clear from the very beginning, not everyone is going to get the relief that you desperately need, but we do have some silver linings on the non-existent rain clouds at the moment. So it's not all bad news. Let's kick off with what's happening at the moment. High pressure certainly still dominating the southeastern side of Australia, as is the easterly wind that's still going across the northern half of the continent. In fact, more than the northern half. It exists all the way from about New South Wales across here. So that easterly continues on for now, but this low pressure zone will be moving in with more westerly winds and northwesterly winds as we go towards the end of next week. So let's kick off with Friday's rainfall map. Now, this video is a lot more focused on the rain than temperatures at various parts of Australia. So we're going to be talking a lot more about the wet weather changes. So here's a little bit of an unusual setup. High pressure, 1032, that's quite high, but it is driving in some rain in that northeastern corner of Tasmania. Might get as far in towards Lonnie. Now those rivers around there, they'll get a bit of a top up. It's not a huge amount, 15, 20, 25 millimeters in that area. Still welcome after what has been a very dry year. Easterlies carry on for the top. That means more showers for Queensland, but not as many for New South Wales or the ACT. In fact, Sydney does look as though the skies might be a little clearer. There's certainly been a heck of a lot of cloud around the eastern coastline of Australia this year. As we go through into the weekend, into Saturday, a few more showers popping up through Queensland. Not much though, most places are dry. The easterly carries on, so if you're in Broome and other parts of northern Western Australia, it stays dry and sunny, but at the other end, or the other half, the southern half, you're seeing these showers come through. Now for Perth and other areas nearby, not a huge amount of wet weather, just a few millimeters, but those showers are coming in as a new westerly starts to develop there for you. Now the high pressure zone around Tasmania remains there. We've got some wet weather through Bass Strait, Phillip Island, a few places like that. Otherwise, it is still fairly dry, and the showers actually come back in again around New South Wales. Not much, just the odd little shower here and there. Most of it is still falling offshore. As we go through to Sunday, the high drifts further away from Tassie. Still got a few showers stuck around you. And most of New South Wales is dry, most of you. Might just be a few showers up there towards the Queensland border. And around Brisbane and the Sunshine Coast, that's where we're seeing most of the wet weather on on Sunday in Australia. And those showers carry on with the easterlies, one or two popping up through the Northern Territories. Otherwise quite dry, especially up there towards Darwin. Now as we go into Monday, the high pressure system here kind of drifts back in a wee bit, sitting over the top of Canberra and Sydney. That keeps conditions pretty dry and settled. Hopefully the sun's out for you a wee bit. But because of that placement, easterly winds obviously to the north of it, pushes the red line here, that's the tropical one, further to the north. So there aren't many places in Australia now that are really in that tropical, hot, humid weather. But if you want it, you've got to fly off to Darwin or Weipa and other places like that. So let's go back down to the southern part of Australia as we go into Tuesday. Here comes a cold front for the southwestern corner. That will drive in a few showers, and then later on, hopefully by the end of the day or nighttime, you'll get some rain. The blue line measures air thickness, so that means colder airflow coming in behind that one. But ahead of it, the nor'west is blowing through. They'll be dry, not hot and humid so much, but the hot, dry heat coming back in. So if you are in Victoria and South Australia, and you desperately need some rain, it is worth noting that before any relief comes, it might get hotter, drier, and windier, as you can see building up here on Tuesday. And then by Wednesday, that windier, warmer weather slides into Victoria, the ACT, obviously big part of New South Wales, and right down to Tasmania. The high drifting further out to sea over the top of Lord Howe Island, and there's the cold front coming into the bottom part of Australia. Not a huge amount of rain. The blue that you see, you know, a few millimeters to maybe 5 or 10. If you're lucky, you might get 10. But most places aren't getting a huge amount. It's just the very southwestern corner there getting some showers, and more showers for Queensland and the northern part of New South Wales. Oh, we've got a few downpours here going inland as well. Again, the totals are not massive. By Thursday, 1 week from today, that's where things get a little more interesting. So the high pressure belt that's been dominating the southeastern corner, 1 week from now, it's moving in towards New Zealand. Behind it, we've got the Easterly winds, they tilt a bit more northeasterly if you're in Queensland. There'll be a few heavier showers coming in once again around Sunshine Coast and around Brisbane. Showers and a few thunderstorms through the interior. These aren't huge downpours by the looks of it. The blue shading means if you're in the pale blue, 1 or 2 millimeters. If you're in the slightly darker shading, you might get 5 to 10 in some of these areas here and there. But this is the more interesting zone. Coming through here, Kangaroo Island, Adelaide, other parts of South Australia. And then later on into Thursday night, more of that wet weather comes into Victoria and even the northwestern corner of Tasmania for the dairy farmers, the wheat and the grain growers. You'll get some wet weather, but it will be a bit broken up and it may not be as much as you want, but at least this is a change. That's what I think is the most optimistic part of the video today, is telling you, yes, high pressure pushes off to New Zealand and finally you see some normal weather for this time of the year. Cold fronts coming back in. Will it bring you the relief you need? That's a different question, but hopefully it will. Here is the next 7-day rainfall map. You'll notice not a huge amount of rain to begin with, and then as we get towards 1 week from now, that's when it starts to colour in around the outer edges. So we do see a few downpours around the mountains and ranges, certainly around Tasmania, some relief on the way for you into that sort of 15 to 35 millimetre mark, which would be very welcome. But these pale blue areas are still at the very bottom of the scale. So just going to stress, not everybody is going to get relief from this system and this change, but it is nice to see a change after all this time. Okay, the place of the week this week, it's not a specific spot. I just saw this when I was flying over the other day at quite a high altitude, despite it's not moving very much, but the Simpson Desert. I was somewhere right here in the middle between the Northern Territories, South Australia, and Queensland. I think this was on the South Australia side, but you could be anywhere really right here in the middle part of it. Just a stunning look to it all. And you'll see more of these shots from around Australia. We'll show you a more populated place next week. Actually, I did a takeoff out of Melbourne the other day as the moon was rising, and what a beautiful city at nighttime. I got to say, Melbourne, a big thumbs up from me. So I might do a video on that one next week. But that is all from me for this week. Hope you get some relief in the next 7 days. But I'll talk to you again on Monday with our next video, and we'll take another look at rainfall that is on the way.